All right. So we've got people coming in now, which is great. So I'll just give it a couple of minutes before I start the official welcome to everybody. There's a few names I recognise. More people coming in. Okay, well we might make a start. So a few more people will come in over the next few minutes. So we'll just let them join as they're ready. So welcome everybody to today's Tech Talk with the ATO Cash Flow Coaching Kit team. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the Cash Flow Coaching Kit. It's been around for a few years, and some of us have tried it in its earlier forms. And yeah, it's a great tool for us as advisors to use with our small business clients, and very timely, I think, because we understand the need at the moment for talking to business owners about cash flow and planning for the next period of business, which is still quite uncertain for a lot of people. So hopefully we'll get a good overview of how to use this tool. So today's presenter is Laurelie Rowe, who's an accountant with 25 plus years experience in private enterprise, and has worked in federal, state and private sectors, and is an educator, and she's been with the ATO since 2015 and worked with the Cash Flow Coaching Kit team for the last 4 years. So she's the world expert in the ATO Cash Flow Coaching Kit. And we've also got a few other people here from the ATO Coaching Kit team, Mark and Christina. And we have an AAT member, Anne Black, who is also going to speak a little about her experience with using the kit. So welcome everybody, and I'm handing over to you, Laurelie.
Great. Thank you very much, Jo, for that lovely introduction. Hi, everyone, and thanks for this opportunity to allow us to present the Cash Flow Coaching Kit to you all. My name is Laurelie, and I'm part of the Cash Flow Coaching Kit team. I've been involved with the development and the implementation of the paper kit, and then more recently, the digital version of the Cash Flow Coaching Kit. And as Jo mentioned, I have been a tax practitioner, where I was in practice in Adelaide, actually, before my partner and I decided to sell and move to Tasmania, where we're now enjoying a lovely sea/tree change, although the temperature is a bit cooler than what we've been used to. So I've got Mark with me today from our team. And Mark, can I just ask that you introduce yourself?
Thanks. Sure. I'm also a former tax practitioner and small business owner. I'm based in Southeast Queensland, and joined the ATO Cashflow Coaching Kit team 2 years ago to work with bookkeepers and BAS agents and tax agents on this great initiative.
Thanks, Mark. In our audience, we also have our director of our team, Christina, and she will be available to help answering any questions or information you might need at the end of this presentation. So what is a Cashflow Coaching Kit? The Cashflow Coaching Kit is a kit that's been designed as a coaching resource to be delivered by tax professionals and advisors to help their small business clients effectively manage their cash flow, and is particularly useful to help rebuild their finances during challenging business conditions or unexpected events. It is available in digital and paper versions as a suite and can be used independently or interchangeably, providing flexible delivery options. Now, today we will be offering a complimentary paper kit to all attendees, so stay tuned and we'll discuss this a little later in the webinar on how you can go about receiving one of these. We currently have around 1,000 beta digital users at the moment. So the digital product is in a beta situation, which means it hasn't been fully released yet. There are still little tweaks that we're doing to it, but we have 1,000 people using it, including AAT members that worked with us through co-design, development, and now we're into the final phase of the digital beta prior to launch a bit later this year. During development, we collected and analysed feedback. We've done evaluation and information from many tax professionals about how they were using the kit in their practice with their small businesses. And I would like to share some of those stories with you during this session. We're also fortunate enough today to have a panelist with us, an AAT member, Anne Black. And I'm going to be asking Anne about her experience in using the cash flow coaching kit throughout this presentation. But in the first instance, I'd just like to ask that Anne introduces herself to you all. Thanks, Anne.
Hi there, my name's Anne Black and my business is Barley Mow Bookkeeping. I've been in the bookkeeping industry now for 30 odd years, and with all the modernisation or the streamlining of data and all that sort of thing, this has proven to be quite useful. So I'll speak later on to you.
That's great. Thanks, Anne. It's going to be great to hear your thoughts in this session that we do today. So I'm just going to move into the next screen. So today we're going to talk about how the kit can be used in a practical way, especially around the COVID-19 situation that we are currently in, providing examples of how the kit can be used with small businesses to assess their viability, how the kit can be used as a value add service for your clients, including how advisors have marketed the product. And we'll do a walkthrough of the product itself. And finally, we'll provide you with some information on how you can access the kit for early access. So this year has continued to be a really difficult year for businesses, for everybody really, but especially for small businesses. With trade restrictions impacting on the economy, trying to manage cash flow now and for the near future has left many small businesses questioning their own viability and survival. So there are some statistics on the screen which you might find interesting. More than 60%, that's 3 in 5 Australian businesses, have sought external advice in response to COVID-19 as of June 2020. 41% of businesses reported a drop in revenue in August 2020, and 22% reported an increase in operating expenses at that time. Now, more than 35% of small businesses expect to find it difficult or very difficult to meet their financial commitments over the 3 months from August, so August, September, and we're into almost the end of October, and we're obviously seeing that at the moment as well from what's coming through our doors. Now, we know that advisors play a very important role in a client's relationship. They know their small business clients' needs. They can interpret information for them, help them better understand their cash flow to make critical decisions and plan ahead, and particularly at the moment in response to COVID-19. The kit's designed to build on that trusted relationship through coaching conversations that the advisor can have using the resources in the kit to help small business clients understand more about their cash flow. And I know that you've used the kit a bit. How have you found that kit to be useful?
It has been very useful insofar as getting your client or your customer to actually understand what is going on in their business. There's an action checklist in it, which is fantastic too, because you know exactly what information is required, and it steps you right through the whole process. so that even your client can join with you in going through it. Right, thank you.
That's great, thanks, Anne. Yes, and we're going to talk a little bit about the action checklist when we go into the resources, and you'll be able to see what Anne was talking about when she explained how easy it is to use. So they form part, the action checklist forms part of the tools in the kit, and there are other tools in the kit as well that allow the advisor to actually coach the small business into making some informed cash flow decisions about their business situation. The conversation advisors are having with their small business clients and the decisions the businesses are having to make under the current COVID situation are particularly difficult. These decisions include viability, deciding to continue their business or close their business, survival, what sort of support can they get, what sort of stimulus measures are the government offering that they can get, and other financial support to survive, and revive. What changes do they need to make in their business to get themselves back on track? So they're the sort of questions that are being asked at the moment. So what I'd like to do now is take you into the kit itself.
Great.
Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. I just accidentally booted myself out of there. Let me just get back into it. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just share that screen again. There we go. Sorry about that. I'll just see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you all to see. Bear with me for a moment, just trying to get my close out of there, go into here, into here. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so the Cashflow Coaching Kit is a practical resource that assists advisors in coaching their small business clients to effectively manage their cash flow. The kit outlines 4 key principles to positive cash flow management, and answering the following questions provides the small business with a better understanding of their business viability. And those 4 key questions are here. Am I trading profitably? Have I put enough aside to meet my regular financial commitments? Does my business have enough to spend on myself and pay others? And is my business falling behind or moving ahead? The cash flow concepts in the coaching kit are simple, ones that you probably already know. The page I'm currently on is our Get Started page, where the kit is explained in an easy to read layout, as you can see. Nice, easy features on there. The kit has an inbuilt coaching model that's across the top here. And this allows you, the advisor, to first of all discover more about the client's business and their cash flow, unpack their financials in a way small business understand so they feel more confident in making cash flow decisions, explore ways to improve their cash flow, and then create a simple action plan to make the cash flow improvements a reality. The kit contains practical tools such as a health check, cash flow canvas, and change levers, among some others, to assist the advisor to coach the small business owner on business viability and effective cash flow management. It does not replace, however, any existing accounting or financial tools. So let's have a look at some of these tools in a little bit more detail. We'll start off with the health check. Now, the health check is a simple quiz that advisors can use with their small business clients to identify their clients' understanding of their cash flow situation and how they feel that they are tracking in their business. And the advisor can use the information from the health check results to start a coaching conversation. I'll just bring up a results page so you can have a look at it. There it is there. So let's have a little bit of a look at a case study that we created that's trying to work their way through the COVID-19 situation. So Jellies is a coffee shop whose trade has significantly dropped due to COVID-19 restrictions. They decide to visit their advisor to understand whether they can A, access any more stimulus measures and what they can do to meet their current and future financial commitments. By completing a health check, Jellies and their advisor will get an understanding of their cash flow issues and start a conversation about their business viability. Now, the health check results show the responses to the 4 key questions. They believe they are not trading profitably. They have not put enough money aside to meet their regular financial commitments. They don't know if the business has enough to spend on themselves or pay others. And they feel that their business is falling behind. The health check results also show that they feel unsure about some of the concepts that impact their cash flow, including planning their business. In fact, they've never even completed a business plan, it turns out. And their advisor can use these knowledge topics, these other results of these knowledge topics, particularly on planning the business, to help them understand concepts around cash flow and to assist them then to assess their viability and also to help do things like complete a business plan. So the health check's been used in a variety of ways. And Mark, I think you've got a little comment from one of our advisors in our user testing, how they use the kit.
Yes, we have a testimonial from a New South Wales practitioner who said the health check is a great conversation starter. Clients get to identify the problems themselves. And before the health check was available, it was more difficult to get the client to accept that there was an issue there.
Yeah, I think that the health check is a great conversation starter. You can send it out before the session to get them to fill it in. That helps you plan the meeting as well. So there's lots of uses that you can use for it. So as you can see, the results are displayed on a nice little one-pager, which can be generated into a PDF, which is really handy. By selecting a tile, you can see the results are displayed. By selecting a tile for the response on the health check results, it takes us directly to the corresponding topic page where we can further explore the concepts with the client. So I'm just going to go up to those Discover topics now. So the kit, as we mentioned earlier, does contain some useful topics that enable the business to learn and understand some foundational concepts around cash flow. The kit has a number of Discover topics to assist the advisor have the conversation, and these include things like planning and funding your business, which we can go into. I'll go into that in a moment. We also have record keeping, managing your cash flow, planning your regular financial commitments, and tracking your performance. There is also a special topic that we have at the bottom called Considering Exiting Your Business. I'll just go into that now. So we've already heard and we've noted that there are some business casualties from the COVID-19 situation. And despite the best intentions and actions from the business owners, unfortunately, this might be the only course of action that's left for them. So the topic here on selling and closing your business gives some tips and some ideas on what the small business owner needs to think about if they do decide to go down that path. And just generally, the ATO also has a number of resources on closing your business, and they're available on ato.gov.au. If I go into the activity of planning your business, each of the Discover topics follows the same sort of format. So they all have handy discussion points at the top, as well as activities, a task builder on the side, and external links for further information as needed. So remember our example for Jelly's Coffee Shop? They indicated on their health check that they didn't feel confident about how they could fund their business, and they'd never done a business plan. In order to develop a good survival plan, a business plan can be modified or tweaked, and that needs to be in place right from the word go. So the activity in this particular topic is about completing a business plan So the advisor could start this topic with the client and then send it back with their client to complete it over the coming weeks. As mentioned above, the client also indicates that they didn't know how they could fund their business. So you could also go into the funding topics and look at the comments on there to help with that as well. Now, the task builder on the right-hand side of the screen of all of these topics allow the advisor to build a list of practical actions that the small business can address as the business plan activity is built and the funding of the business is discussed. And anything added into the task builder is pre-populated directly into the action checklist, which is very handy. It means you don't have to go and fill it in later. Let's have a look at the action checklist. And this is what Anne was talking about a little while ago. As you can see, it's all in the same digital format. So this tool is actually used throughout the coaching process. And the action checklist, as I said, is pre-populated throughout the conversation. So as you talk in the conversation and add things to the task builder and add some comments into things like the change levers, which we'll talk about later, they'll get populated through to the action checklist. And what will happen is this action checklist, and really what it does is provide a summary, which confirms the conversation and actions the client will take to manage their cash flow, along with the help of their advisor. And it's designed to keep the client accountable. And it also provides review dates with advisors to go back and visit them. And sometimes the advisors can use this to book their next appointment with their client as well. Mark, have you got something on hand from an advisor about how they've used the action checklist? Or how they
absolutely. Just some suggestions from a Victorian-based practitioner was to keep it simple, keep it achievable, but also enable it to be something that you can hold the client accountable for. And some other helpful tips from a New South Wales practitioner was not to get too carried away, maybe to spend 3 or 4, maximum of 6 items. And that temptation would be that, you know, the advisor might come up with a whole list of things to do, perhaps 20 or 30 things, but this is just going to be too much and the client won't do it.
I totally agree with you there, Mark. And I think we all do the same thing, don't we? If we do our priorities list of a daytime, if we fill our page with things to do and we don't achieve it, sometimes we beat ourselves up about it. If we put our actual priorities on there and can mark it off, that sense of achievement is great. So I think what the advisor do is absolutely right. Let's not overdo it. Do small things because you can always add to them. You can always go back and see what you've achieved as well as you go on. So I'll move on from there and show you one of the next tools, one of our important tools, which is actually the cash flow canvas. And I'll just quickly bring one up for you. We've got a whole lot there that we've created. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like on the layout on the page. It kind of copies the paper layout, but it's a little slightly different. But basically what it does is a simple one-page pictorial representation of the business's cash flow situation in a particular time frame, whether that be a week, a month. You've got flexibility up in the choices of how, what dates you want to choose and how long you want to choose it for. There's lots of different dates for you to do. And it just shows that situation, that time frame. And as mentioned earlier, it's not designed to be an accounting tool. Most accounting packages have already got inbuilt cash flow statements, but sometimes small business owners can find them a bit confusing. The canvas has been broken down into 3 simple sections to help businesses visualize their bottom line and therefore their viability. And those areas are mainly cash in, cash out, and then a surplus, and then right at the very bottom, you can put in the balance sheet items if you wanted to do that as well. So, as I said, it's broken down into 3 easy sections, and then the client's figures can actually be imported into the cash flow canvas via an Excel spreadsheet that's been exported from the client software. So if your client has their own software that they use, you could ring them up and say, can you send me through your cash profit and loss and your balance sheet for the last quarter? And can you select it as an Excel spreadsheet, which most of those packages will do? And that goes to you. And at that point in time, you can remap fix up corrections at that point before you import it into the canvas. But it's a nice seamless process, and it really helps when you've got lots of information to put into the canvas as well. So the canvas provides the answers to the 4 key questions that we keep talking about throughout the kit, and there they are up the top there, to give a small business an understanding of their financial performance and position. The advisor can also work with the business to discuss the solvency of the business using the figures from the canvas to assess the business viability. Now, ABS, Australian Bureau of Statistics, show that 2/3 of businesses reported a decrease of revenue compared to last year. And of those businesses, more than 3 in 10 estimated revenue had fallen by more than 50%. In terms of viability, these businesses really need to start thinking about how they can better manage their cash flow once the stimulus measures cease, even if they are still under trading restrictions. And an easy way to see how a business, to look at their viability, is to go in through the canvas and to do a compare canvas. Now, in our case study, I'm going to compare the most recent quarter of this Jelly's coffee shop from July to September, and compare it against last year's July to September figures. And when you have a look, you can see very clearly that there is, I just used the wrong one there. I'll just go into there. You can see very clearly that there's been a drop in sales. Now, there's money in the bank here for this last quarter, and that's because included in that figure is JobKeeper and Cash Boost, has to be included. If it wasn't in there, if that money wasn't in there, their drop in sales would be more like what's reflected of their GST, around 70%. So a business you can show a business very quickly how much revenue they may have dropped by, and how it can be, and then what steps they need to do to select that. So once again, this sheet can actually be generated as a PDF, and it comes up nice and into that screen nice and easily as well. So Jellies can see straight away that they've got to do something about their cash flow, because their figures are obviously as they feared. And once they're in their stimulus measures close, what are they going to do? They won't be in a profitable position, and they know it. So I'm just going to try and get out of that one and get back into here. So to make a change, or to try and pivot what they need to do, I'll just cancel that. We'll go and have a look at the change levers. Now, the change levers are a great tool. They're really helpful, and advisors love them because they're very simple to use. Even if you do use a digital kit, the paper card levers are great because they're so tactile. And for those people that have different ways of learning, sometimes that tactile visual approach is a lot easier for them to get the message across. So the change levers are really important because these identify possible actions that the business could take to improve performance by increasing cash in or reducing cash out. I'll just try and get my mouse over here. So improving cash in, reducing cash out. So there are a number of cards that can be used. So to improve cash in, we have lever cards around pricing, volume, and debtors. And to reduce cash out, we have cards around assets, expenses, inventory, and staffing. The advisor can use these levers as conversation starters to help the business owner consider the actions to manage their cash flow and their viability. And I think you're a fan of the change lever cards, aren't you? Can I ask why that might be?
The reasons for that is they're fun. I have a client and he absolutely loved this. He could see what would happen to his bottom line when he used a change lever for pricing. So it gives the business owner, in a very simple way, a viewpoint of what the future might hold for him.
Yes, that's right. Thanks, Anne. And you know, you're right about the very simple way, because Mark, you've got one of our other advisors have also mentioned about the simplicity of the questions on the card, I think, Would you like to just let us know about that?
Yes, that's right. We've got another practitioner based in New South Wales, and I might quote from her directly on this one. So she said, the thing I love about the change levers is they start a conversation with clients. They might be very obvious and easy questions, but as they are written down, they are easy to ask the client. And the questions might be things that I don't think are relevant, but when I ask the question, the client goes, oh, I've actually got that situation. So it's things I haven't thought about or things they haven't thought about that can become very important in the coaching conversation.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes we look at things, we think, oh, that's so basic. But we forget that sometimes people hear things differently and understand and communicate things differently from the way we might be putting it across. And sometimes having something very simple written down really enables that to get the right message across and open up for the client. And they also see that as non-threatening as well. Thanks for that, guys. So with Jelly's Coffee Shop, they've just had a discussion and the advisor has given them a list of future government stimulus measures, and they'll be able to follow those up to see whether they can utilise any of them or not. They're keen to also think about how they can improve their cash flow situation over the next quarter, given that they are dropping down. So the advisor, in this case, decides to concentrate on reducing their cash out because they're not really bringing much in, and uses the expenses lever in that time to talk about things that they can do to reduce their overheads. And one of the things that they do decide to do as a result of this conversation is negotiate a freeze on their rent, which is being offered to lots of small businesses. They also decide to use the inventory card, and they decide to sell off some of their unused inventory as grocery items. So things that that hasn't got a long shelf life, that they know they won't be able to get rid of as easily. They'll sell them off as some grocery items to get rid of them, to reduce those non-essential stock items. So once they've done that, you can go back to the compare canvas in the next quarter to see if that makes a difference. There's other things they could do as well to improve their cash in, but in the very short term, that's just what they've decided to do. So the business plan that they are developing as well should be updated every time a change in business direction is decided. This is important because the cash flow varies. Because as the cash flow varies, the business needs to make decisions about how they spend their cash becomes very important. And this could include how and when to use debt and other funding options, or ways to cut their costs if they decide that they want to pivot their business and do more of a takeaway. They might need to find some funding to get some infrastructure put in to make that happen. So there's all sorts of things that they can use there. Now, all the material during the conversation, such as the action checklist, canvases, and health checks, can be accessed at the end of each session by clicking on this downloads button up the top here, off the right-hand side of the screen. So here you can select which of the conversation things you've been talking about and which of those you would like to save, print, and or email to the client. Now, if you've got the appropriate software, such as Adobe Acrobat Pro, you'll be able to edit those PDFs to include such things as your own business logo or any other branding that you'd like to put in there. So if you have that particular product, you can make those changes and put in things like the logos. Now, the client list up the top here, this page, this contains instructions on client imports and exports. So when you want to bring some client data in or save it as, this is how you do it, because it doesn't stay on your computer. It stays in a dedicated cache on your drive. There's lots of tips on all of these things. In fact, on every page of the Cashflow Coaching Kit, you will find a tips button on the left corner with information and advice on how to use each page of the digital kit. There's also a drop-down menu with ideas on how to guide the coaching conversation via the tools within the kit. And these are a great starting point when planning your session with your client. I'm just going to go back now to our PowerPoint. Share that.
Yes.
Okay, so on the screen in front of you now, what we've got are some insights from other advisors that have used the kit. So there's a lot of different ideas on how to use the kit and what they consider to be great features of the kit. But before we have a quick look at them, Anne, can I ask you what you considered to be the best feature of the kit, in your opinion?
I think the best feature, and apologies to any accountants that may be here, it's in a language that your business owner can understand, and they can visually see from this as well what is happening in their business. Many of them would not know a balance sheet from a profit and loss sheet, but you give them something like this and they really can use it and can see the benefits from it.
Thanks, Anne. And I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, when we designed the cash flow coaching kit, we did design it, as I mentioned earlier, with adult learning principles, and have put different ways that people learn, understanding that some people like to read, some are tactile, some like action, some like visual, and that's how the kit, the paper kit especially, was developed. And obviously the digital kit, being as interactive as it is, it also has the same thing. But one of the big issues was the language speak, or accountant speak, that sometimes, you know, I know in the past when I've spoken to my clients, you can see their eyes glaze over when they start talking about balance sheets. They just don't get it. And this really does offer a very educational, simplistic way to get the message across to people. So totally understand what you're saying there, Anne. And as a result of the great feedback we've received from advisors who've used the kit, we have provided some of their insights here on how advisors have embedded the cash flow coaching kit into their own business model as a value-add advisory service to their small business clients. And you can see there are things like running, one advisor ran a free 6-week group program to a number of clients to do the knowledge topics. And from that, she got lots of one-on-one meetings. Some people use it as a health check, as an integrity check against their new business. So a new business comes to them, that's one of the first things they do. Other people do it as a nurturing, as an initial consult, and then do it, you know, book a meeting from a meeting. Some people incorporate it into their pricing tiers and so on. It's really up to you how you decide to do it. The kit is free to yourselves, so there's no cost for you, and how you want to market it is really up to yourself as well. So this pandemic this year has put a lot of us under financial and emotional stress. So while it's important to focus on the financial side, it's essential to take care of yourselves, and your mental health. So the ATO is supportive of advisors and small businesses, and there are links on ato.gov.au at the top of the page on the ATO website. There's an orange band COVID-19 banner with various resources to assist you in this area. So if you feel you'd like some further support, or you'd like to look at what support you could help with your small business, please visit ato.gov.au for further information along there. I'd like to thank Anne for taking time out of her very busy day, and I know that you guys are busy too. Thanks so much for sitting in on this to share her valuable experience with the kit. We're very fortunate that we have such supportive professionals who've been able to provide such valuable insights around the kit to us. So finally, I just wanted to say a couple more things. Please note that the ATO have no logos on the kit at all. We call it white labeled, for want of a better word, but this will allow the advisor to brand it in any way that fits with their business model. And that's why we are encouraging also that you do take up our complimentary paper kit offer, because you can have that, and it's a blank canvas for you to actually put your own branding on and everything on it, and make changes as you see fit. A link will be sent to you shortly, providing you with access to our cash flow coaching kit, so you can get started on it. So it'll be an early access, remembering it's still in the beta phase with a launch coming up shortly, the full launch, but it gives you a great opportunity to go and have a bit of a play with it in the first instance. And so this early access will allow you to explore how you can use the kit and give the option to provide us some valuable feedback. If you would like to, we'd appreciate it. Now you can visit our landing page displayed on the slide here at www.ato.gov.au/cashflow coaching kit. And on that landing page, you can actually register for some further webinars that we do. We have a special 30-minute webinar for those people that are actually using the kit and would like a little bit more assistance in it. We also have a number of Show Me How videos that are there to help the client, help yourselves as well to see if you've got any little issues in the kit as well. And we're adding new resources to our landing page all the time. If you've got any questions or any feedback, we welcome you to contact us at cashflowcoachingkit@ato.gov.au. And as I said, I'd really like to thank you for your participation today. And at this point, Joe, I might hand back to you for any questions that might have come up or that people would like to ask. And we can.
Well, I've got a couple of questions. Is this something that businesses can find out about from the ATO? Does the ATO sort of promote it, or are they planning to, or is it really going to be promoted to the tax professionals for us to then use with the business owners?
Correct. So the kit has always been designed to be delivered through the tax professionals because they are the ones that have the knowledge and the expertise. And there might be some small businesses that could pick up on this kit and do a few things with it. And if they do, the nudge will be to go to their tax professional at a certain point in time.
Right.
And that's being because they just don't have that same knowledge, expertise, and the kit is non-exhaustive. It's just there to provide coaching tips and conversation to help an advisor with getting a conversation going. But it really relies on those years of training and the understanding that bookkeepers and accountants know about their clients and their experience. So we always delivered through our tax advisors and our professionals. And that will continue to be the same at this stage.
Yeah, well, it's such a comprehensive tool. I think the online version is fantastic. It's with all the questions and the prompts and the action list and the change levers. So I feel like we now have no excuse really to not have these conversations with clients. I know that for many bookkeepers, cash flow is a hard sell. Business owners often don't want to pay extra for services. And we have a hard enough time getting them to look at a P&L report, let alone a balance sheet, let alone cash flow planning. But I feel like this makes that conversation much easier. So that, we don't really need a whole lot of experience in coaching and training. We've got the framework here. And so it does become much easier for people. So I really encourage people to, give it a go and, try it with some clients. And might I suggest homework? You could try it on your own business. I've just been doing it and answering some of the questions in relation to my own business, which is, a fun experiment and maybe gives us some things to think about for our own, our own situation. So another question I wanted to ask was, if I do want to start offering this, what is a realistic time frame that I would need to dedicate to getting to know the tool? Or do you feel that it is, say, having seen this demonstration, can people really launch in and sort of just start using it? Or do we really need to spend a lot more time getting to know it before we can advise people?
Could I just butt in here for a minute?
Absolutely.
As a user from the start, I attended one webinar, and then I went into it, and as you're actually doing, Joe, with your business, I put my business in there first, and it steps you through it. So I had it up and working in about a week. And I actually, to introduce it to my clients, some of my clients that I knew that would be interested, without them knowing, I put all their information in, and because I knew what their answers would be, we know their business sometimes better than they do.
Yep.
And then I'd show them this, and they go, "Oh, we'll have to have a look at this then." And then that's when you can sort of bring it in as another service you can offer.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll keep quiet now.
No, that's what we want to hear. So really, not a lot of time required, because I mean that's a challenge we have so often, isn't it? That we're trying to keep on top of so much information and technology. So to learn a whole new system, it's got to be easy. It's got to be quick for us to really want to adopt it. And so I feel like what I've seen today. I'd feel pretty confident of that I wouldn't need a lot more time.
I think also, Joe, that I mean, it's such a great question, that, because one of the beauties of the Cashflow Kit is you don't have to go use it from end to end. If you've got a time-poor client that wants to come in and just have a look at, one thing that they're worried about, you can just go to that one area. The coaching process is so flexible; it allows you to just go and do. You might have a client that comes in, you might just do a canvas with them one day, or you might do a discover topic with them.
Yep.
So you can use it to their time, your time, and it is very intuitive, which is why I suppose Anne was saying she was able to work through it easily. But the other great thing about the kit is that it also has a couple of in our paper kit. We give you called a red book, a one-to-one advisor book. It's got all these tips and tricks and resources available to you. But we also have a green book and a blue book, which you can also get complimentary as well if you wanted it, which is a group book. And what we found a lot of business owners did was they held a group generic meeting with some of their clients. They got them in, they fed them, then they might have shown them some of the discover topics to get them involved in it as well. So it can be done in a whole lot of ways. You can deliver it in a whole lot of ways over all these different time frames. And that's one of the great things about the kit, is that you don't have to sit there and work your whole way through it and spend 2-3 hour sessions, which people just don't have.
Yeah. Can I do show and tell with my red book?
Yes, absolutely.
Just to give people an idea, the cards that Laurelie was mentioning are very, is that showing up okay? Very simple cards that you can flip through. So, health check, for instance, gives you the main basic points to cover. So you get a whole set of cards, and then you get some loose pages, and then, you get your red book, which has got a lot of the same questions and pointers and tips that are online as well. Can you just remind us when the digital version is being fully released?
There's no, Christina, have you got a better idea than I have? Because I don't think we've got an actual date yet, but it's going to be in the next few weeks, I think. Is that right? If you're online still?
Yes, I am here, Laurelie, and yes, we are looking, just moving now, final changes, final updates for the product, even though we don't expect it to be changing much at all, just some final tweaks, as Laurelie said earlier, with a full release, which is basically just ripping off the beta, label at the front of it, and going into full release. Before the end of the year, we're looking at November at the moment, right. So just around the corner.
And so my understanding is that the website, the online version, does not store the data, so that data is not reported back to the ATO in any way. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Joe. It's very important. Part of our whole integrity and our security was that clients' data was not compromised at all, and it isn't. So when so the idea of the kit is when you go to import their data, they send you the report, you save it on your own computer, and you access that from there to import into, if you want to, into the canvas. You don't have to put any figures in if you don't want to. When you're finished, you can, we call it export or save as, back to that designated area on your drive. So nothing stays in the cache. Everything is gone, and nothing goes up to the cloud. It all stays very securely on your own computer, and that was that's been a very important consideration to make sure that people had that confidence that their integrity wasn't going to be compromised at all.
But it does save a client list. You showed us the screen where you've added jellies, and there's the facility to add more clients. So is it just saving client names and your answers to the questions online?
Yeah, and I put that client list on there because I loaded up to provide the figures for you. So normally once you get rid of it, you just bin the name, so you don't have that issue. So it's just the name. There's nothing else sitting in there.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right.
Can I just add to that, Laurelie, if I may? So, Joe, you're right. With the client names that appear in the list, they're there for you to export. And once you close the session, all of that data is gone. So if you don't export it, it's gone forever.
Okay. So all the questions that I've answered for myself, they'll all be gone. When I close the session, I need to export and save my action checklist and so on if I want that data.
That's right. So yeah, it's very important to export the client file, because if you don't, it's gone forever.
And it is free. We've just got a question about that. It is completely free, and it's probably a good time now to tell people, if you would like the kit mailed out to you, so this red book, please type your name in as it is in your AAT membership. Please type your name into the chat box, and then the ATO will be mailing you the kit if you would like it. So for anyone who wants that, please type your name in.
And if anybody would like to have a green book and a blue book as well, because they're not as part of the standard kit, just pop that in and we'll make sure we include that in going out to them as well.
Yep. And how do advisors get notified once the digital version has gone live?
We'll send everybody an email.
Everybody being?
Everybody that has got that we've got the emails for the list that we've sent out. We're going to email everyone with access to the kit, and then we'll send an email to say, look, it's going live as well. Once
so I think in that case, then, even if you're not so interested in the physical book, but you are interested in the online version, you should also put your name in the chat box.
And also, Joe, there will be some media release via associations as well.
Okay, great. Yeah.
To say that that's happening.
Yeah, well, we would be interested in that, of course, because I could put that in the newsletter when that is released. So let me just see if there's any final questions. That I think I've covered all of my questions. And I'm just checking any final questions. So I've got a lot of names coming in, which is great. We will capture that, and that is so that will be posted out. What sort of time frame should people expect?
Well, we'll get onto it straight away. So we'll start processing it either probably from tomorrow morning onwards, and really then I think it just depends on Australia Post.
Australia Post.
Yeah, sometimes but we will definitely get onto it straight away for people. We normally act within one business day of getting it out. So hopefully people will get it within the week.
Yeah, well, that of course depends on our administration as well, because we have to get the member names, emails, postal addresses to you.
Yeah. So it usually takes about a week. And if people have any problems, we've got our email on the screen in front of you, and they can just email us and let us know, and we can order it separately from there if we had to. So
yeah. So yeah, one of my questions was going to be about, you know, introducing it to clients, but you put up that slide with, you know, some suggestions for what other advisors have done, which I think is great. So that gives people some ideas on how to introduce it. And yeah, I think that's a great idea, sort of doing a free health check and then, you know, going on from there into more detail. So okay, so people are still putting their names in. I just want to ask attendees if there are any final questions for our panel before we finish up, and I'll give people a few more minutes to put their names in. And I will put a couple in here that have gone into the Q&A. So if you can just put it in the chat box, guys, for your names, because the Q&A I don't think that gets saved, but the chat box does get saved at the end of this. So, so Belinda, your name, if you would like the kit and all the details mailed to you from the ATO, put your name in the chat box. And yeah, no, Kathy, we will organise that. So we've got a system in process. We will, we'll just, we will let the ATO know of the member list, and they will then be posting out. We've got an anonymous question: costing of services, handy to get actuals. I'm not really sure what that question is. If you could perhaps be, just expand on that a little bit. Do you mean what are other people charging? Maybe that's what it is. Do we have any, Mark or Anne or Laurelie, do we have ideas of what other advisors are charging for these services?
Look, not really, but I mean, you know, when you go into and we look at some of the websites and we look at those tiered package services, you know, that's bronze, silver, gold. Sometimes I've seen where they've utilised it in their existing, for example, their existing silver or gold package, they've incorporated it in there, or they've broken down the cash flow kit into different things. So if they do a health check, they might include that in a bronze. If you want to think more, you go into another level. As far as actual dollars are concerned, no, we haven't focused in that area. Anne, have you got something to say on that?
Yeah, I have mine built into my package at certain levels as well. And if we go into the business plan side of it, download and do that as well, that's an additional extra, but it's all in the letter of employment or letter of engagement.
I think that in sometimes things like this, you know, we've all got the billable by hour billable or fixed price. Sometimes and this is just my personal opinion, sometimes I think these things work better under a fixed price agreement rather than the hourly, because you're right, small businesses don't have much money, and but then again, if they can see the value in what they are getting, they're more than happy to help. If it turns their business around, especially, they're more than happy to help for it. But no, we don't have any actual real dollar values there.
Yeah, I guess it's just something for each advisor to consider, the value that they're offering, and yeah, what part of it is as an introduction that's you know, a great free offering to get to know the client, or an extra service, and then yeah, how much you do give your clients. But you know, as I said earlier, I really feel cash flow is just it's such a necessary topic for business owners to understand, and they just so often are so uninterested. So it's good to hear the stories of advisors who've got there with the clients, you know, who've actually got the people going, oh, wow, great, you know, yeah, I get it now. So that's encouraging. I certainly have found it very hard to sell cash flow conversations. So yeah, I might have a go with this tool. Okay. Yeah, we have another comment. No one wants to discuss fees. Hard to do establishing when working in remote areas and little professional networks. You are welcome to join our online discussion group, which happens twice a month. One's run by Eric, one's run by myself. So, you know, join in the discussion and we will talk fees there. I'm happy to talk fees, what people charge for what services, but we won't get into that today. But come into our online discussion groups and we can certainly talk more about fees. I think that's about a wrap. Any other? The names seem to have slowed down, so I think everybody who's wants a kit has got their name in. So I think we can finish up. So thanks, guys. Laurelie, Mark, Christina, Anne. Great session, great information, great tool.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us. It's been great to be able to, deliver this to people, and I hope that they get a lot out of it. And thank you, Anne, especially for taking the time out today.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, great to hear from someone who's used it. So, and we've got lots of thank yous in the chat as well. So, okay, that is a good long session, and we've learned a lot. Oh, I've got more messages. Hopefully, not names. Yep. Okay, more thank yous. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and the ATO will be in touch with that kit.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye all.